My name's Rob, and you may know me from a Twitch and YouTube channel called Slant Alpha Adventures. Our captain for the series is Max, who you may know from a YouTube and Twitch channel called Citation Max. On behalf of Max, of VATUSA, and myself, welcome to our flight across America. We're doing a flight as American 503 from Denver to Dallas Love. In previous episodes, we went over how we chose our origin, destination, and route. We briefed our departure procedure, pushed back and taxied out, took off, arrived at cruise, and started looking at our arrival procedure. Max had just realized that the Jeffrey arrival is for when the airport is landing south, and the Herbs is for when the airport is landing north. Let's turn things back over to him.
American 503, 4%.
Go ahead, American 503.
American 503, the Jeffrey 5 arrival is not valid for the Dallas Love Airport at this time. Are you able to fly the Herbs 1 arrival?
Yes, sir. We can do that, American 503.
Roger, American 503 is cleared to the Dallas Love Airport via direct the Belly intersection, and then the Herbs 1 arrival. Descend via the arrival. The the Dallas Love altimeter is 3006.
All right, American 503 is now cleared to the Dallas Love Airport via the Herbs 5 arrival, a belly transition. Descend via the Herbs 5, and copy the altimeter, American 503. All right, so that's kind of cool. We got a bit of a game plan switcheroni there, so we're going to have to go start doing some rebriefage. So we're going to be, and this is where the airplane gets a little bit funky, so we got to make sure that we actually
not bad. Sorry about that.
Review everything. So we're coming in, whoopsie, on the, I think I said the Herbs 5. And just for the tapes, American 503, it's the Herbs 1 arrival. Sorry about that. All right.
No worries. I knew what you meant, so appreciate it.
Thank you.
In the US, star names are incremented by one number each time they change, and after the number hits 9, they start back at 1. So Max was keen to make sure that he and the controller were in agreement that the current published version is the Herbs 1. That's the version in his plane, and that's the version ATC is expecting him to fly. In both the real world and the sim world, it is possible that you might find yourself with an outdated version installed. There are a number of different resources available to make sure your plane's nav data is up to date, and it's part of your responsibility as a pilot on VATSIM to be able to fly the most updated versions of these procedures.
All right, so just clarifying that he knows what we're doing the Herbs 1, and we know we're doing the Herbs 1. Just
Southwest 2636, contact
on the same page of air traffic control.
Regional approach 24.
So we're going to go Herbs 1.
Wonderful week, Southwest 2636.
It's Monday. It's too early to call it a wonderful week.
All right. ILS 31 left Herbs belly. And we're going to just ask here if he wants us to go to bed. And Center American 503, would you like us direct belly at this time?
American 503, yes sir, clear direct belly.
Direct belly, American 503.
We've said this in a previous episode, but it bears repeating. Anytime you aren't sure what you were instructed to do, don't be afraid to clarify with the controller, just like Max did just then.
Let's go here. Let's go Dallas Love. Arrivals. And we're coming on the Herbs 1 now. Okay, so belly at 280 knots, below flight level 300 and above flight level 240. Jet row above flight level 225. Masty above 16. Greg's at 250 knots, below 11,000 feet and above 10,000 feet.
In Fort Worth, November 1960, Delta's climbing through 4,600 to Pulse.
Then we got Gouch below 8,000 feet and above 6,000 feet. Herbs at 6,000 feet at 240 knots. Crow, that's our new fly over waypoint here. That's at 240 knots at 5,000 feet. And then we're on a 113 heading vectors. That's a man sequence. So it's we're going to fly that 113 heading until air traffic control tells us to do something. If that means for 50 miles, we're going to fly it for 50 miles or 500 miles. It doesn't matter. That's what we're doing per the clearance. So that looks really awesome. That looks great. And let's just make sure that's all in the FMS. Masty, Greg's, Gouch, Herb, Crow, Man Sync. So we start to see our top of descent coming up here. So this is always a good thing if you haven't, you see the airport's 200 miles out, 150 miles out, and you're still at 35,000 feet. Air traffic control is busy. Always can just say, hey, American 503, we're approaching our top of descent, sir. I'd like to request descent. Whatever it might be, super polite, super professional. Just kind of let them know, hey, we'd like to start down. and they can either accommodate that or they'll give a reason why they can't due to
American
traffic.
5250, descend via the stop.
So we are just about 30 miles from our top of descent. For the VNAV here, this is a kind of a, I'm going to go into our FMS speed there. It's going to get us back to 0.78. We've made up some time en route there. Going to get the seatbelt sign on and we'll start our descent here in about 25 miles. We give a little bit of speed brake to help.
Maintains Mach 70 or
Kind of see the speed brakes coming up there. Just to kind of help the VNAV, and we're right back at 280 over belly.
We made a point in a previous episode that the FMC is a tool to help the pilot, but the pilot is the one responsible for making sure all the restrictions are met. And Max is an absolute pro, and it's evidenced here by him realizing he needed to intervene to help the plane be able to meet the altitude and speed restrictions along the star.
Put in your FMC direct the belly intersection, that's Bravo, Echo,
Dallas,
Lima, Yankee, Yankee, and then resume the herbs on arrival, or do I need to work something else out?
Information Echo. Winds 310 at 9 knots now, 10 miles clear. Visual approach. Both runways. We have information Echo.
Let's cut in here and do a refresher on ATIS, the Automated Terminal Information Service. It's a recording played on a loop which includes the latest weather observation, the runways in use, and other operational information at the airport. At the very largest airports in the US, you even have a separate ATIS recording for arrivals and one for departures. In the real world and on VATSIM, you can listen to it on a second radio or get the controller's permission to leave the frequency for a moment to retrieve it on your primary radio. It's also possible, and often easier, to retrieve it in text form. With the altimeter setting, surface temperature, and wind, plus a notion on which runway and approach you might be getting, you should have enough information to start calculating your landing performance numbers, your V-speeds, etc., and start briefing for your approach.
Approach. Good evening, American 503s, 12-6, descending via the Herbs 1, information Echo.
American 503, regional approach. Good evening, expect the visual 31 right.
31 right, American 503. Alright, so that's a bit of a change here. Again, for the purposes of the video, real world, 31 right. Again, I should have probably thought about this. We're coming in on the right-hand side of the airport, which
American 5250, fly hang
we're probably going to be on the right side of the runway.
Or correction, 4000.
So let's
050,
switch that around.
5250.
So ILS 31 right, Herbs, belly, nothing changes there.
Max just made a hugely important point. At airports with multiple landing runways in use, you may not know which exact one you'll be using until you get handed to the approach controller at your destination, and it may or may not line up with what sim brief listed or what you otherwise planned for. You can ask the controller if it's possible to switch, but ATC can't always accommodate every pilot's preferred or planned arrival runway. Imagine if 100 planes are coming into Dallas Love, and 90 of them tell the controller, well, SimBrief told me 3-1 left. ATC then has a huge mess on their hands that they can't fix without your cooperation. So be ready to be adaptable. You can brief the approach you think you're going to get, but be ready and willing to switch and rebrief if you're assigned something different.
For the ILS approach for runway 31 right, we're gonna have to. It's gonna have different minimums. So there's 10,000 feet. Let's get the. So 10,000 feet. Looks good. 31 right here. We got 687 now as the minimums. 687. Nothing else changed. 687 is checked. And we got Fascia and Daddle. 11.5 now. 313's inbound. Daddle's at 2,200 feet. 687 is the minimum. It's 200 above the ground. Nothing's changed. If we got to go miss, it's climbed to 1,000 feet. Then a coming right turn to 5 on heading 330 and outbound Charlie Victor Echo 046 degree radial to finger on the 36.4 DME of the Charlie Victor Echo VRR and hold. NOLA notes apply to us. We're coming down nice.
American 5250, heavy view at 10 o'clock, 25 miles. Report when you have insight.
Really good. Again, so you got to start visualizing, right? What's going to happen right now? Where are we in reference to the airport? Very, very important. So we're to the north of the airport. We can maybe even now there's DFW, so we don't want to obviously go anywhere near that airport. That's not where we're going. So we start visualizing. Okay, where are we going? So we're north of the airport. So we're going to be on this heading once we pass Crow. we're going to get some headings, right? So we're going to need to be
Regional approach, United 791.
to start getting this heading,
500.
start turning this heading bug and getting into heading mode. So start looking for the airport there. Let's see, it should be at about 3 o'clock and 25 miles. I don't think that's it. We can get the airport tab up there. There's Addison. So this is where you got to be super careful of not calling the runway in sight if you don't actually know where the runway is, right? Oh, that's a runway that kind of looks close enough. No, you got to be super, super careful. Very important to make sure you can verify that is the airport you're landing or that is the runway, right? So I don't see it quite yet. Okay, so we're 5,000. Alt capture, alt.
United 791, climb and maintain 17,000. 17,000.
Now we're on this manual sequence leg here, so we're just going to fly this right now until ATC tells us to do something. That's it, we're flying this heading. This is looking really good.
In our next and final episode, Max will start getting vectored for his approach and arrival with the Dallas Love. On behalf of Max and VATUSA, my name's Rob, and thanks again for joining us for our flight across America. In the US, star names are incremented by one number each time they change. And after the number hits 9, they start back at... Okay, that's not gonna work. On behalf of Max and of VATUSA... Why am I stumbling over that?
There, so we're just watching that. Beautiful night though, gorgeous, look at this.